It is early 1376. The Chthonian invasion of Scythia is revealing how thinly spread out the horse lords are, and the Council of Thessaly between the Black Cloaks and the Red Cloaks has been dragging on for months now, severely testing the patience and even longevity of the League itself. However, the heathens of the North are experiencing a moment of opportunity, and no such systemic issue. When one speaks of the heathens of the North, they of course referred to the kingdoms of Swabia and Scythia, and furthermore to the Empire of Anglia, and beyond them the scattered tributary states in deep Scandinavia. While Novgorod is largely a pagan entity, it finds itself more in line with the steppe tradition of peoples like the Scythians. Meanwhile, Ablania, by way of its generational cloister, is an entity of a character almost totally unknown to the world beyond, and is generally not included in the label as a result. By and large, since the last time they played a large historic role, the heathens of the North have long since developed into established civilizations much like those to their south. During the war against Satanic Pyria, and fighting side by side with the League of the Storm Cross, they saw in both cases armies of such vast personage and power that they were, in a sense, shook awake by the tide of history. Great cities went up across the kingdoms of the heathen North, and great temples too, where Odin, Freya, and Tyr enjoyed worship. An official and stratified clerical system formed, and was placed strictly under the heathen crown as a subordinate entity. This tradition was largely national and not international, with the priesthood of each generally answering to a specific king. Still, even as they had adopted gunpowder and armored fighters and complex bureaucratic administration, the northern folk did things differently. First of all, while the king held authority, it was not absolute, and though it was hereditary, it was not absolutely hereditary. Instead, if a king was found to be a coward, or stupid, or corrupt in his rule, then all the governors of the major cities and their surrounding territories in the land, these being called the Gaudzari, will come together and invoke a Folktinga. The Folktinga, literally meaning meeting of the men, gathered to discuss the crimes or failings of the king, then chose who to elect from the royal family, or, in extreme cases, induct a new royal house entirely. This was an especially meritocratic system, as anyone of particular strength and prowess could be selected as a Gautzar of a major city, which is, in turn, a selection elected by local familial clan chiefs and prominent guild leaders, and furthermore, when a new royal house is inducted by right of a Folktinga, its founding man could theoretically be absolutely any heathen in the north. Even the lowest wretch could, hypothetically, take the throne, should the Gautzari see him fit. This Folktinga system of limited monarchy was born out of Swabia's need to establish a stable, centralized government without sparking an all-out clan war among the familial chiefs, but later proved so effective at bringing the North into a position of power and civility that it spread to Scythia as well. Speaking more broadly, Swabia and Scythia were so intertwined that their border was easy and open, with their two closely related languages of Germanic Swabian and Celto-German Scythian even blending together with time. Their armies even operated as one. Things had already reached such a point indeed that the two had entered into a royal marriage, with the Prince of Swabia, Ariowald Wulfling, and the Princess of Scythia, Hildegwen Galanid, having married 30 years prior, in the year 1346. Now, the child of that union, a 29-year-old man of wise works and mighty deeds named Waldegast Wulfling Galanid, was crowned lord over a combined royal house and the new Empire of Swabia, also officially known as the Great Heathen Empire. This was long in the works, but seeing the chaos to their south, there seemed to be no better time than now to make it official, and rally the heathens of the north to their cause, uniting in name and deed before another crusade was aimed north at their homes and their family. Everyone knew it was just a matter of time and in order to properly counter the titanic might of the League of the Storm Cross, a similar body was necessary. However, with only Swabia and Savacia joined in this effort, it would not be nearly enough. Indeed, they now reached out to another mighty heathen empire, which had already managed to stand strong in the face of a powerful and united Christendom, this being the Anglian Empire. Lords of the North Sea for generations now, Anglia was a potent force in the north, feared even by certain members of the League, which took caution to not directly antagonize it. Indeed, when all their territory is counted as one, they're the largest single power in Western Europe, and furthermore beholden to nobody else. Anglia had long been governed by a more centralized system, with the monarch wielding absolute authority over his realm and his vassals, and holding the authority of a number of familial war bands which once set to raiding in days of yore, but now stood as something analogous to the League's military orders. One of the major reasons why there has been little conflict between the two is that Anglia hasn't outlawed Christian worship. Indeed, for the Anglians, what mattered was blood, not the cloth, and this had been the case by way of an Edict of Toleration enacted all the way back in the late 1200s under the rule of King Diorwulf Wicbersunu, accompanied by strict marriage laws to preserve Anglian bloodline. It was to this great power that Emperor Waldegast reached out, directly addressing Emperor Leofgar Wicbersunu IV. The letter read, "Great heathen brother, Lord of the chilly seas and fellow sun beneath the sky, know my plea and hear my request. Who you call Wotan we know as Odin, and that blood that runs through your veins is much like that which runs through ours. I call upon you in this distinct hour to join the Great Heathen Empire, not as subject, but as ally, as equal. The cultists of the Corpse God are at each other's throats, and this could be perhaps the final chance we have to build something that can withstand what's coming." This letter went by boat to Leofgar, who considered it with great weight. Indeed, the Edict of Toleration had long since bothered him and a great many powerful men in Anglia. He saw how the Christians vowed allegiance to a man and his church on the other side of the world, whose authority they prized more than his own. He saw how the Christians gathered into one place and claimed it as an enclave all its own. He saw how boldly the Christians disobeyed him and joined a foreign alliance, even sending Anglian men to fight and to die for an alien god in an alien war that he did not command nor permit. Perhaps Diorwulf could never imagine spilling Anglian blood over a matter of cloth, but Leofgar certainly could, and this request was the perfect opportunity. Honorable Waldegast, the gods smile upon your strength. The salty seas carry your good news to me, and I reply with more than agreement. Indeed, I have long grown tired of the Corpse God. I offer an alliance for now, but I also offer with it the hand of my daughter, Suniva. I wish for our houses to be joined, and our kingdoms too. The gods gave us our blood, and yours is more than good enough for us. Of what use is that blood if we cannot shed it in glory for those who granted it? May we be brothers of the sword for now, but may we be family soon thereafter. As our crowns are fused into one someday, the world will fall away in fury, and none shall escape the might of the North." Indeed, Leofgar was incredibly forward with his proposition, sending his daughter with the letter of reply. Suniva would then spend some time in the court of Waldegast, as he considered the proposal of another political marriage like the one his parents shared, but in any case accepted the offer of alliance straight away. With the Empire of Anglia set as a close ally of the Great Heathen Empire, Emperor Leofgar adopted much of their law code, especially the laws which outlawed Christianity in particular. With Christendom distracted by 2 wars and turned inward against itself in petty bureaucratic disputes, it seemed as though the tide was turning, as it was the time of the old gods to make their return, and put the corpse god back in its grave. However, there was one major issue at hand, and that was the Anglian lowlands, which contained basically all Christian Anglians, and they refused to go. Not only did they refuse to enter into an alliance and impending united empire with the Great Heathen Empire, but they also refused to give up the cause of the cross. As Leofgar made Christianity punishable by death, he sent small detachments of fighting men all about the realm to deliver the news and collect immediate recantments, or otherwise exact a toll in blood. When they got to the city of Westfalen in the lowlands, they made their demands and dispersed their letter of command from Leofgar himself. They then said to the gathering crowd, "Take off your white shirts, or you will be buried in red ones." To which Godwyn, the head of the guard, replied, "We are covered in the blood of God. We'll hardly notice yours." The crowd, both guard and layfolk, fell upon the agents of the crown and dispatched them, one and all. That very day, the Anglian lowlands, under the governor of Westfalen, Godric Seilanga, seceded from the Anglian Empire, establishing the Kingdom of Anglonia. Emperor Leofgar, enraged at this, declared war upon him to crush his rebellion. News soon reached the contested parties at the Council of Thessaly, and they were presented with the question of coming to Anglonia's aid. With all that was going on, could they afford it? Was it worth the cost to defend such a small piece of Christendom? Could another war of such scale be survivable at all? However, even with all these questions, and furthermore all the bitter disagreements that filled the Council at Thessaly, they nonetheless voted overwhelmingly to come to the aid of Anglonia, not losing sight of the most important thing at hand, the very reason for their existence: the defense and expansion of Christendom. In many ways, the specter of war suddenly casting its shadow across the church once more finally put these political squabbles into perspective and reminded them of their purpose. So, the League of the Storm Cross gave their full, unadulterated support to Anglonia, thereby bringing Anglia and the Great Heathen Empire into a state of war with the League of the Storm Cross, a state of affairs which was already certain to occur, but which had now come far sooner than any party involved would have liked. Indeed, it would seem that a long winter was all it took to send Europe sleepwalking into yet another continent-spanning war.